Hello everyone, how are you doing? Today we start some reading according to the American curriculum or the American educational system. So it's a bit of challenging reading. It needs some concentration, but everything will be fine after the lecture. So now let's start. The following is a rough draft of students' report. It contains errors. And now we start with the name: James Rodriguez, Physical Science, Ms. Richards, March 24th, 2003. And the topic is as follows: Tough weather on fragile islands. El Nino is the term used to describe the weather phenomena resulting from the warming of the waters in the Pacific Ocean that flow southward along the coast of South America. Around late December, as early as the 1500s, the effects of El Nino were recorded, but in recent history, about every 4 years, El Nino becomes powerful enough to cause changes all over the world. Wilson 83. Researchers in the Galapagos Islands, about 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, are in a unique position to monitor the effects of El Nino. Since they are directly in the path, see Figure 1, in 1998, the fragile ecosystem of the Galapagos Islands suffered the devastating impact of the strongest El Nino since 1982-83, Stewart. And the figure is on the right. Now I'll move a little bit down, so I go to paragraph 2. The effects on sea life were the most profound. Warm water temperatures altered the food chain and led to a significant die-off of marine iguana and a decrease in the population of other animals such as sea lions. Fur seals were spotted in places where they are usually absent. Hammerhead sharks all about disappeared from their normal ranges and were found at unusual depths. While sea turtles fared well, the coral reefs, the rainforests of the oceans, did not. Gaines 17. Now, paragraph 3. In fact, the coral bleaching that is the result of temperatures of only a couple of degrees warmer than usual was probably responsible for the wildlife disruption. Corals received their brilliant coloration from zooxanthellae, a kind of alga that lives within their tissues and is essential for their survival. Wilson 87. When the water is warmer for a sustained period, the coral tissue expels the zooxanthellae, causing the coral to lose its color. This will eventually kill the coral and all marine life that depend on it. 88. Now to paragraph 4. It's too early to know the long-term consequences, but scientists at the Charles Darwin Research Station suspect that the 1997-98 El Nino facilitated the establishment and spread of species alien to the Galapagos and altered the kind and number of the old species on the islands. Stewart. Researchers don't know how many times this has happened in the past, but for now they know that the future of this fragile ecosystem depends on the tough little weather phenomenon called El Nino. Now we'll move to the next page. Works cited. And there the names of the texts where the student wrote his or her research. The first one is Gaines, James, Photographs by Herman Robbins. What is El Nino? Environmental News, 16th February 1998, pages 14 to 19. Then the second resource is Stewart, Joseph, El Nino and the Galapagos Island Report, New York Times, 28th of August, 1998. Late ed. K1, New York Times Online, 24th of March, 1999. Thompson, John R. El Nino's Wrath Hits Galapagos Islands. Science, 4th of April, 1998. 8994. Wilson, Eric K. Galapagos Ecotourism on the Equator, New York. EcoBooks, 1999. Now we'll move to the questions based on the previous text. The detailed solution and full explanation of them are at the end of the lecture. Here just the correct answers. Now, question 76. James includes a map of El Nino's path and the Galapagos Islands in order to help the reader visualize the information. This is A. B. Organize the information. C. Review the information. D. Research the information. The correct answer is A. Now question 77. What tone is achieved through James' choice of diction? A. Nostalgic. B. Alarming. C. Serious. D. Humorous. And the correct answer is C. Now move to 78. Which source listed on the works cited page was accessed using a computer? A. Gaines, James J. D. Stewart, Joseph. C. Thompson, John R. D. Wilson, Eric K. And the correct answer is B. Now it's 79. From which source is the last sentence of paragraph 3 taken? A. Gaines, James J. B. Stewart, Joseph. C. Thompson, John R. D. Wilson, Eric K. And the correct answer is D. Now to the next text. The following is a rough draft of a student's report. It contains errors. NASA spin-offs. Paragraph 1. What started as a race to space between the United States and Russia has turned out to be a technological revolution that has greatly improved the quality of daily life throughout the world. Scientists at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, have invented new technology to make space flights doable. The same technology, when applied on Earth, has produced thousands of products in the areas of health and sports that have significant impacts on our lives. Now, paragraph 2. Many of these improvements are in the fields of health and medicine. NASA-inspired technology fueled the great advances in the early detection of deadly diseases. For instance, computer chips designed for the Hubble telescope are used in digital imaging devices that help medical professionals detect cancer at very early stages. Eye doctors can now diagnose vision problems in very young children by using ocular screening. Ultrasound scanners, portable X-ray devices, and bone analyzers are among the medical devices developed with the help of space technology. Now, paragraph 3. Fogless ski goggles and special sportswear are among the hundreds of items of sports equipment inspired by NASA technology. Space technology has been applied to sports too. The running shoes that athletes use today have midsoles that act like shock absorbers and keep the runners steady while in motion. These shoes utilize the technology NASA used to design the moon boot. In golf, athletes use a new ball that employs NASA research on how to make the flight of the ball from the tee to the green faster and more accurate. In swimming, athletes can swim faster because of NASA developed riblets in the fabric of their swimsuits. Paragraph 4. Almost all aspects of daily life continue to improve because NASA scientists are still at work. Transportation, methods of preparing food, and work environments are other ways in which NASA technology has made significant changes. Now, question 80. How can the writer most improve paragraph 2? A. Name medical devices developed through space technology. B. Provide more information about medical professionals. C. Explain how the Hubble telescope helps detect cancer. D. Add details about ultrasound scanners, X-ray devices, and bone analyzers. The correct answer is C. Now, question 81. Which underlined word in the following sentence is not consistent with the tone of the rest of the report? A. Scientists at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration (NASA) have invented new technology to make space flights doable. B. Many of these improvements are in the fields of health and medicine. C. In golf, athletes use a new ball that employs NASA research on how to make the flight of the ball from the tee to the green faster and more accurate. D. Transportation, methods of preparing food, and work environments are other ways in which NASA technology has made significant changes. And the correct answer is A. Now to question 82. Which paragraph needs to be revised so that the topic sentence is placed in a more logical position in the paragraph? A. Paragraph 1. B. Paragraph 2. C. Paragraph 3. D. Paragraph 4. And the correct answer is C. Now to question 83. Which of the following best states the writer's apparent purpose of this report? A. To inform readers about NASA inspired improvements in lifestyle. B. To entertain readers with stories about NASA. C. To compare the work of NASA and Russian scientists. D. To persuade readers to do more research about lifestyle improvements. And the correct answer is A. Now, question 84. Which sentence from the report expresses the writer's point of view? A. What started as a race to space between the United States and Russia has turned out to be a technological revolution that has greatly improved the quality of daily life throughout the world. B. NASA-inspired technology fueled the great advances in the early elections of deadly diseases. C. Forbes ski goggles and special sportswear are among the hundreds of items of sports equipment inspired by NASA technology. D. The running shoes that athletes use today have midsoles that act like shock absorbers and keep the runners steady while in motion. The correct answer is A. Question 85. Which of these would best support the main idea of the report? A. A statement from a doctor who uses space technology for diagnosis. B. Examples of sports equipment used in different sports. C. A description of the race between the United States and Russia. D. More details about running shoes and their components. And the correct answer is A. Now to the next paragraph. The following is a rough draft of a student's essay. It contains errors. A job interview. A job interview is one of those life experiences, like dentist appointments or when you have to organize a closet, that most people dread. A job interview can be much less dreadful, however, if you are prepared and confident of your ability to make a good impression. The interviewer will see you before you say a word, so it's important to be well groomed and properly dressed. Wear clean, pressed clothes that fit well and are appropriate to the workplace. If in doubt, visit the company's parking lot just before starting time on a day before your interview to see how employees dress. When you introduce yourself, smile, extend your hand, and look the interviewer in the eye. Be prepared to answer questions about your experiences and abilities, and be ready to explain why you are sure you can do the job well and why you want the job. Arrive on time or even a little early. Listen carefully to what the interviewer says and don't interrupt. Make sure to take with you all the information you might need to fill out forms such as addresses and telephone numbers of references. Think about what other information the interviewer might be interested in and be sure to mention it. If the job you are applying for involves working with children and you're counselor of the year at a summer camp for kids, bring a letter of recommendation or an award citation to show the interviewer. Thank the interviewer for his or her time. A job interview can be an opportunity to showcase your strength rather than an occasion to dread if you follow these guidelines. Now, question 86. What is the best way to rewrite sentence 1? A. A job interview is one of those life experiences that most people dread, like dentist appointments and when you have to organize a closet. B. A job interview is one of those life experiences that most people dread, like going to the dentist or organizing a closet. C. A job interview is one of those life experiences, like when you have to go to the dentist and organize a closet, that most people dread. D. A job interview is one of those life experiences, like going to the dentist, that most people dread and organizing a closet. The correct answer is B. Now to question 87. Which sentence should be moved closer to the beginning of the second paragraph? A. Sentence 8. B. Sentence 9. C. Sentence 11. D. Sentence 14. And the correct answer is A. Now to question 88. Read this sentence, the one in the box. For example, if the job you are applying for involves working with children and you were counselor of the year at a summer camp for kids, bring a letter of recommendation or an award citation to show the interviewer. Which underlined word is spelled incorrectly? A. Counselor. B. Recommendation. C. Citation. D. Interviewer. The correct answer is A. Now to the detailed answer. Answers for the tough weather on fragile island section. 1. James includes a map of El Nino's path and the Galapagos Islands in order to A. Help the reader visualize the information. And the explanation for this. The caption directly under the map states its purpose. James includes a map in order to help the reader visualize the information. This is the most direct and correct answer. The map isn't used to organize, review, or research the information. is a visual aid to help the reader understand the geographical context described in the text. Now, number 2. What tone is achieved through James' choice of diction? C. Serious. And the explanation. The diction, word choice, throughout the report is formal and factual, using words like profound, devastating impact, significant die-off, fragile ecosystem, and long-term consequences. The purpose is to inform the reader about a serious scientific phenomenon and its damaging effects, not to be nostalgic, longing for the past, humorous, being funny, or overly alarming. Though the subject matter is concerning, the tone itself is measured and serious. Now, question 3. Which source listed on the works cited page was accessed using a computer? Correct answer is B. Stewart Joseph. And we'll go to the explanation. And the explanation for this: in the works cited entry for Stewart Joseph, it lists the source as New York Times Online, 24th of March 1999. The inclusion of online clearly indicates this source was accessed via a computer, unlike the others which are cited as print publications. Now 4. From which source is the last sentence of paragraph 3 taken? D. Wilson Eric K. And the explanation: the last sentence of paragraph 3 is, starting with 88, this is an in-text citation pointing to page 88 of a source. Looking at the works cited page, only one source uses parenthetical page numbers like this: Wilson Eric K. Between brackets, Galapagos, ecotourism on the equator. The other sources are articles with dates but are not cited with page numbers in the text, like Stewart or Gain 17, which is different source. Now, answers for the NASA spin-offs section. 5. How can the writer most improve paragraph 2? C. Explain how the Hubble telescope helps detect cancer. And the explanation: paragraph 2 mentions that computer chips from the Hubble telescope are used in cancer detection devices, but does not explain how this works. Explain how this works. The other options are less effective. It already A. names medical devices, B. providing more info about medical professionals is irrelevant, and D. adding more details about the other devices is less critical than explaining the central most interesting example, the Hubble cancer connection. Now to question 6, and I have noticed it's just in sequence, so question 6 in the text is not actually question 6, it might be 80 something, okay? So they are in order. So when you read and you go back to the beginning of the lecture, you will find them in order. Now 6. Which underlined word is in the following sentence is not consistent with the tone of the rest of the report? A. To make space flights doable. And the explanation: the word doable is informal and conversational. The rest of the report uses more formal technique language such as technological revolution, significant impacts, digital imaging devices, diagnose, and utilize. A more formal word like possible, feasible, or achievable would be consistent with the report's tone. Now to question 7. Which paragraph needs to be revised so that the topic sentence is placed in a more logical position in the paragraph? C. Paragraph 3. And the explanation: the topic sentence of paragraph 3 is space technology has been applied to sports too. However, this sentence is the second sentence in the paragraph. The first sentence, fogless ski goggles, and special sportswear are among the hundreds of items of sports equipment inspired by NASA technology. Is actually a supporting detail. The paragraph would be more logical if the topic sentence, which is sentence 2, came first to introduce the main idea before providing examples. Now to question 8. Which of the following best states the writer's apparent purpose in this report? A. To inform readers about NASA-inspired improvements in lifestyle. And the explanation, the entire report is a list of examples, medical, sports, daily life, showing how NASA technology has improved life on Earth. It's factual and explanatory, making its primary purpose to inform. There is no evidence that its purpose is to entertain. To compare the US and Russia, this is only mentioned in the introduction as a starting point, or to persuade readers to do more research. Now question 9. Which sentence from the report expresses the writer's point of view? A. What started as a race to space has turned out to be a technological revolution that has greatly improved the quality of daily life throughout the world. And the explanation, a point of view is an opinion or a conclusion. Sentence A is the thesis statement of the report. Is the writer's overarching argument or perspective that the rest of the report sets out to prove. The other sentences B, C, and D are all factual statements that serve as evidence to support this main point of view. Then, which of these would best support the main idea of the report? A. A statement from a doctor who uses space technology for diagnosis. And the explanation, the main idea is that NASA technology has significantly improved daily life. A direct quote from an expert, a doctor using the technology provides strong, credible real-world support for the claims made in paragraph 2. The other options are weaker, B and D. Add more examples but not new credibility. And C focuses on the historical race, not the resulting improvements. Now, answers for a job interview section. 11. What's the best way to rewrite sentence 1? B. A job interview is one of those life experiences that most people dread, like going to the dentist or organizing a closet. Explanation. The original sentence is awkward because it mixes noun phrases, dentist appointments, with a clause. When you have to organize a closet, effective parallel structure requires all items in a list to be the same grammatical form. Option B corrects this by using parallel gerund phrases, going to the dentist, and organizing a closet. The other options fail to create a parallel structure or are grammatically incorrect. Now, question 12. Which sentence should be moved closer to the beginning of the second paragraph? A. Sentence 8. The explanation. The second paragraph gives advice on how to prepare for an interview. Sentence 8, arrive on time or even a little early, is one of the most fundamental and first steps of the interview process. It logically belongs at the beginning of the sequence of advice. Before details about grooming, sentence 3, introducing yourself, 6, or answering questions, 7. Which underlined word is spelled incorrectly? A. Counselor. Explanation. In American English, the correct spelling is counselor. The version with two L's or double L, counselor, is the British English spelling. Since this is a California standard test, American English spelling conventions are expected. The other words, B, recommendation, C, citation, D, interview, are all spelled correctly. So for this specific question, it's actually correct if it's a British version, okay? So the word, because this test is an American English test, so the version of this word, or the American version of this word, should be with just single L, not double L. Well, I think we reached the end today. I hope you got some useful information from this lecture, and looking forward to meeting all of you again, and very best of luck, and see you soon in other videos inshallah. Bye bye for now.